And good morning. Your vote counts. Representative Martinez, Senator Kirt. Good to have you both in this morning. Okay, states around us are making some news based upon Oklahomans looking at what's going on. Let's start with the state of Kansas. Kansans decided their future with women's reproductive health issues. And your thoughts about the state of Kansas in respect to the state of Oklahoma?
You know, my big thing is that state question was huge. That question showed that people believe in medical privacy, they believe in women's rights, and women turned out in incredible numbers. I think we would see the same thing here in Oklahoma. What I hear from my constituents is they see a lot of nuance, and they see the need for medical autonomy, they see the need for women to be able to speak up for themselves, and they don't want the government mandating around pregnancy. And I think that's what we saw in Kansas. I think we didn't know if the voters would turn out, and it was record turnout. People registered and people turned out across the state, and I think that's really encouraging.
All right, Kansas is a red state. They've taken a different approach. We've also seen Kansas got that Panasonic plant. We usually talk about beating Texas, but now the discussion about the state of Kansas is on our doorstep.
Yeah. That's right. So, you know, there's been a lot of theories and a lot of people that have become experts in electoral politics in the state of Kansas. I'm not going to try to do that or claim to be one, but all I have to say about the issue is this is working the way that the founders of this great country had figured it would work, that states can decide what works best for their state, not, you know, 9 justices on the Supreme Court telling everybody what works the best. So this worked the way it's supposed to. People from Kansas decided what's best for people in Kansas, and Oklahomans should decide what's best for the people of Oklahoma.
States' rights issue. Okay. Also, state of California. Now, Governor Newsom has been saying to the movie industry here, based upon what the Supreme Court did nationally and our trigger laws on abortion here in Oklahoma, saying, come to California. They're really targeting us, Texas, Florida. Your thoughts?
Yeah. So it's interesting that, you know, Governor Newsom, he should be looking out for Californians, and he should be worried that there are people leaving California in droves to go to different states to make movies, to live in a more friendly tax climate. I get why he's saying what he's saying. Interesting enough, I was able to spend some time this past week with those who shot the movie Reagan here in the great state of Oklahoma, and they loved every minute of it. They want to come back. There are plenty of great people that think shooting and making films in Oklahoma is the best place to do it.
Well, there you go again. Okay. Your thoughts about this particular situation? He really is targeting the state of Oklahoma.
You know, to me, that's a huge encouragement to our film industry. If we're in any way a threat to California's stronghold on production of movie, film, and TV, that's incredible. And I think it shows the commitment of local artists, local filmmakers, businesses, and our state and local governments. The thing that I want to say is that California's economy is incredibly diversified, and we sure shouldn't look away from the type of diversification they've had. They've invested for years in higher ed. They've made sure that's accessible for their people, and I think the type of diversity we could strive for in this state.
We've got terrible football coaches out there now.
No doubt. No doubt.
All right, when we come back, it's back to school. The most wonderful time of the year for parents, but there's some dark clouds on the horizon. We'll talk about that when we come back. Children all over the state of Oklahoma, it's the worst time of the year. But for parents, the best time of the year. But we have some real issues with education in Oklahoma. It's safer to talk about religion and politics at the dinner table than education. Your thoughts about issues facing us as we're back to school?
Yeah, so, you know, once again, I keep talking about some of the experience I've had the opportunity to have the past week with some of the national leaders from across the state. I was at a conference, and it became very clear that this is one of the biggest issues in our country. This isn't only an Oklahoma issue, this is a country issue, and we're having this discussion in our culture about what does education look like, what should the goal of education be in America, and making sure that we are giving kids the best opportunity to learn and to succeed. So we have work to do. I'm a firm believer that we should keep empowering parents and empowering students to learn and succeed.
All right, so you'll be facing some issues next year as on appropriations and budget. And there's the Loft report, there's big savings. We're going to talk about that in just a second. The issues you're most concerned about at back to school time.
Yeah, you know, my kids go back this week. We're in Oklahoma City Public Schools, and luckily they're pretty staffed up, but teacher shortage is the big challenge. And what you see is decades of disinvestment, decades of stagnation, and really that Loft report showed that overall education's down in funding when you take into account inflation. We know per student that we're spending less than every surrounding state. And we got to be real about that. That affects the education that our kids receive. That affects our ability to keep teachers in the classroom. When we continue to focus on mandates, questioning and limiting what teachers can talk about, instead of treating them like the professionals that they are and empowering them, we're not going to get the kind of education that we dream of.
Okay, speaking of money, we have seen some discussions about our savings account, and something the governor wanted. The legislature's been putting money into that big rainy day fund. Superintendent Hoffmeister was here yesterday. She said it's raining now when it comes to teachers. Your thoughts?
Yeah, the rain is a good metaphor. I mean, when I look at our savings, there's a difference between financial responsibility and sticking our head in the sand. We've got a leaky roof in this state. It is ruining our major assets of our state, and we need to invest. We should not be putting the taxpayers' money aside when we're spending the least per student, when we're spending the least on mental health in this state. We are seeing the results of that underinvestment, and this is the time for bold steps with those savings. That money could be going to stipends for teachers. That money could be going to increasing SNAP benefits so people who are most in poverty can get the food they need with increased costs. We need to be taking action right now.
Let's turn to the guy who has appropriations and budget leadership ability. Your thoughts about the discussion now talking on that savings account?
Yeah, I think it's responsible. We owe it to the people of Oklahoma to make sure that we are prepared for what's coming next, and we are, and it's an excellent place to be. Some of us have lived through the downturns and have been through the painful moments when the state might not have saved money the way they should have. We know that our economy is very cyclical. We're doing the responsible thing, so when it is time to, when things do get rough again, because they will, and it's headed that way, and I'll tell you, if Biden's in the White House for another 4 years, it'll probably come sooner than we'd all love. But anyway, it's a responsible thing to do. We're doing what makes the most sense for Oklahomans, and we'll continue to do so.
Okay, so we'll be talking about that again soon. Hey, thanks for watching Your Vote Counts. See this again at news9.com/yourvotecounts, and follow me on Twitter @MitchellTalks.